Hi, and welcome to Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty, and I love sharing with you the conversations I get to have with talented and passionate chefs. It's the backstory, if you will, to the food they're putting up. Welcome back to 2021, and thank you so much for being here. Today's chat is the first of the year and is with Ryan Berry, head chef at Naughton's Hotel in Parkville. Now, I love all my chats with chefs, and it's a gift to be able to sit down with them and hear their story. Talking to Ryan was definitely a highlight. Ryan is thoughtful and extremely articulate in the way he talks about cooking, teaching younger staff how to navigate chef life sustainably and with joy, and how important it is to work with ethical and passionate suppliers and producers. Naughton's is one of those beautiful pubs where the decor makes you wish it was your home. The first thing you notice when you walk in the door is the specials board, taking pride of place on the wall. Unlike many specials boards, this one celebrates the farmers and the fishermen who provide the food on your plate. For Ryan and the team at Naughton's, where food comes from and how it's treated from start to finish is vitally important. I loved every minute of this chat, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome. So I don't know if I've got more.
I know, do you want...
No, that's fine. Okay, honestly, have a go. Would you like a coffee or something?
I'd love a coffee, thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. Just a flat white, please.
Just a flat white?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Where
Can we get started?
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, just over the
Thank
side.
you. This is a beautiful place.
Thank you. It's been a weird couple of months, hasn't it? So,
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And so because you've worked the whole way through?
Well, on and off. We did like takeaways during the first lockdown and like a daily style offering, which was great for the immediate locals, but we didn't feel it was actually worthwhile for us. There were nights when we were doing 2 or 3 meals out of the 5 we were open, so it just didn't make sense. And then thankfully we could open up in June, and then it was gangbusters for a while, and obviously we all know what happened then. And then we were kind of racking our brain on what to do next, and well, we're kind of looking at the HelloFresh and the Soleros and those kind of like those boxes. And so we did the pub in the box, which was about we did eight weeks worth, and it was a massive hit for us. So that's what we did. Yeah,
it's a great idea, and I suppose Providor were doing sort of similar things where they were bringing restaurants to people's places.
Exactly.
And,
it's very, very clever.
But it's amazing, isn't it? Because you probably didn't. I think there's lots of things that none of us would have considered that were possible.
Exactly.
Because you don't need to think about those things or other ways of doing things when everything's normal.
Exactly.
Whatever normal will ever be again.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, I think everyone had to be resourceful and smart about what the next step was going to be.
You're welcome. Do you need sugar?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
I thought, look, it didn't make us a lot of money. I mean, we're probably just making about 50% what we normally make on that sort of like style of food, but it kept our brand alive, which is the most important thing in that time, I think. And we definitely attracted a whole lot of customers that we didn't have before. Because we actually started off with a 5 kilometre radius, and we went out to 10. And we've taken food out below South Yarra and stuff, which was great. You know, people now are travelling across the city to come to us, which we weren't expecting to be the outcome. So.
Well, that's good, isn't it? I think in some ways, being so isolated from each other, it did encourage different kinds of communities, I guess. So then if you get people who see you're doing this good thing and it's done well, then yes, they'll want to come over here. So that's great. Well done.
Yeah. Well, we had some customers who ordered it every single week, which was fantastic. And they went on Instagram and the comments were fantastic. And it just felt rewarding, you know, to not only feel that that's what's the word I'm looking for? The support, but the appreciation, you know, that people were still wanting to show their love, and it felt great,
Great.
Yeah, so, and here we are after a massive couple of months. I think the end of the year was great for everyone, but especially us as well, so very happy with how it's gone.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Long may it last.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I was having a little bit of a look at Naughton's online and so on, and I see that you've got a really strong focus on sustainability and using local producers and so on. And I also really loved your part of the Good Fish project.
Yes, yeah.
Because I've spoken to Sasha Rust in the past, and I've been out with a group of chefs, and somehow I got invited as well to go out to Corner Inlet where they were doing having a day with the fishermen and going out on the boats and just having that real connection of chef with supplier or
That must have
whatever.
been special, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Incredible. Look, sourcing is very important to us. We work very closely with a lot of farmers out in Gippsland, and I think it's becoming increasingly aware about factory farming and how animals deserve a better life and to be reared in a better environment, and so that's why we do the best we can to source the best we can. So, yeah.
Is it more expensive to go to those kinds of top line? I don't know. I'm just thinking. People always make that comment from home cooks and so on that buying organic and so on is more expensive. Does it work out that it's going to be harder for your profit margin, or is it?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
It certainly is. And being in the pub trade, we can't charge premium prices that you might find at the finer or high-end restaurants. So there's a bit more pressure on the food cost, but that's just down to us to manage that. And we've got a very strong team who are very aware of that. They love working with the better produce, and so we just make sure that there's very little wastage. To tie in with that sort of sourcing, we use a lot of to nose to tail as well, full animal butchery, and therefore we get a better price on all those cuts as well. So there's a lot that kind of ties into itself regarding this with the sourcing.
And so are you doing things like filleting your own fish? And I know that's a stupid question, but lots of places don't.
Fish and chips we don't, but whole fish we do. So during the month of November, December, we got whole barra in as our plated fish, and we did all the filleting ourselves. But through the rest of the year, we try and go to corner inlets only because of their sort of fishing practices and how much we agree with that, limiting what they're pulling out and making sure it's the freshest and best that it can be. And we break all that fish down ourselves, and it's fun. It's really good.
It's a big thing though, isn't it? Because was it a couple of years ago when things were really coming to the forefront about wage cost and all that sort of thing, and not letting chefs or wait staff or whoever in hospitality work too many hours. And so I remember speaking to a couple of chefs who said you've got to cut corners somehow, and training staff to fillet or to do some of those extra things when you can get supplies in already done. There's so much to consider all the time for you.
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure, especially the senior chefs, to manage those costs, both food and wage. But it's equally, and if not more important, to make sure the next generation of chefs that we are putting out have those skills. I was just actually talking to one of our suppliers this morning from Barongarook, and they love the fact that we take the full pick from them. And it's important that the apprentices that we have don't just pick up the phone and place an order for 5 pork cutlets. They realise where those pork cutlets are situated on the whole animal. They realise the amount of work it takes to get to it and the meat surrounding it and how they can utilise that. And that is, like you said, is equally as important as being able to sort of just cook a steak. So we actually made the decision last year to close on Mondays going forward, and take it as an opportunity to train staff on one of those Mondays per month. So on a closed day, we'll come in, we'll get a couple of whole animals in and just break them down in the kitchen. And then it could be a pasta day, it could be a whole fish day, it could be a whole pig day, a whole lamb, whatever that training day might be. And then we spend time with the chefs and try and encourage them. And obviously it's a paid for shift. And that's a cost the restaurant can absorb, but it feels better for us to be able to strengthen our chefs and then release them into the world a bit wiser and a bit more intelligent and knowing what they're doing.
And I guess that engenders more respect too for the food they're working with. I think, talking to people like Annie Smithers and so on who grow, 95% of what she serves in her restaurant in Trentham, she said that she's noticed that the young people have a lot more respect. They're less likely to waste product if they understand how it's come from, you've nurtured something through from a seed and you're putting it on the plate.
Absolutely.
It must be the same with meat and breaking that down.
Yeah, precisely. And I look at the young girls, they love watching us follow that whole process from start to finish, and the respect is definitely sort of growing within them. And if that can be installed from a young age as a chef, then they're going to be incredible chefs by the time they become a sous chef or a head chef. Their mind is just going to be so much more aware of how to utilise all those different pieces, be it plant-based or meat-based, and only good can come from it, absolutely. Yeah.
What was your journey? Did you always know you were going to be a chef?
Oh, it's a bit cliche, but I think my mother inspired me, I think. Grew up rural South Africa, where produce in the immediate was fantastic, but getting it in from various others or other provinces was quite difficult. Just spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my mother, who at that stage was working in textiles and then has actually just opened a restaurant of her own a couple of years back.
Wow.
And it's a really small sort of restaurant, only got about 40 seats. And it's pretty tough in South Africa at the moment, but she grows a lot of her own vegetables and serves them basically in the restaurant only a couple of meters from where they were grown. So there's a lovely story there, and she inspires me a lot with that. So I worked in Cape Town for a couple of years at a couple of pretty good restaurants, but then it decided it was time to earn the colours and move to the UK, where I was for 10 years and did a range of different sort of styles of catering, big 5-star hotels, fine dining restaurants, and then fell into the pub game, where I met Ryan Moses and my wife, Laura, who's one of the owners of the business as well. So, and then Ryan one day popped the question and said, "Hey, listen, I want to go back home to Melbourne." And I was like, "Well, I'm ready for a new adventure." So, here we are, 6 years later. So, and loving Melbourne. It's just such a fantastic food scene. You know, it's so diverse, and it's always growing and changing a lot more than elsewhere in the world that I've come across. So, it's a great space.
And it would be quite different to London, just in terms of, I guess, I mean, I think I'm from New Zealand, from Christchurch, so Melbourne's a big city to me, but London's even bigger, and Melbourne has a lot of pressure in terms of food and making it and all that kind of thing, but I guess, London must have been a really good... Were you a head chef over there as well?
I started off in Fleet as a chef de partie at the 5-star hotel, and then went up to Northern Ireland as a sous chef, and then back to London again as a sous chef, and then as a head chef at a pub in Belgravia. So I was there for 4 years or so, and you're working with incredible produce from all over Europe, and it was just fantastic. It's such a diverse sort of staff base from all over the world, and their skills and knowledge. It was just such a mixing pot of cultures and abilities. It was a great space for me to grow, not only as a person, but as a chef as well. And it gave me a lot more confidence when I moved over here. And moving back to Melbourne, I didn't feel like I wanted to step back into that same role straight away. I just wanted to get an understanding of the culture, the style of food down here. So started off at a brunch restaurant, actually, as a sous chef, and just to get an understanding and work my way from there.
Mind you, brunch, I think, and cafes have become, this is my analogy, which is right or wrong, but it's a bit like, when we were growing up, TV stars were kind of like the lesser stars, and film stars were the big thing, and now I feel like cafe chefs have become these great gods like film stars now. Absolutely. It's definitely not a lesser thing to be working in a cafe, is it?
No, definitely not. And it's, I think it's, people don't queue to go into a pub or to go into a fine dining restaurant, but they'll queue to go into a brunch restaurant. And it's gone from being poached eggs and bacon on toast to these incredible developed dishes that are flavor combinations that you can expect to see on a 3-hat restaurant menu. It's quite crazy how that sector of the trade has just exploded, and it's amazing. And I worked at Hammer and Tong for its heyday for about 5 or 6 months, and that was just such an eye opener. Working with Emma Jeffries, and she was just incredible, so dynamic and so diverse.
I've spoken to Emma, yes.
Yeah, she's an amazing chef, and that was a lot of fun. And poaching eggs for 400 customers to order on a breakfast service, I was like, wow, this is insane. But again, I felt like I grew from that and learned a lot about the scene, because there is no brunch. Well, there wasn't at that stage in London. It just wasn't existent. Yes. And it just wasn't a way that people liked to dine. And it's great to see that it's so strong. Yeah, and it still so is. Yeah. And
they also have the same constraints, I guess, that you have in the pub, but from price wise, they've got there's a certain, you can't really go over, I don't know, $25 or really in a cafe, can you, for brunch?
No,
but you've got to do, as you say, those incredible dishes.
Yes. Again, a lot of pressure on the food costs, and I think that's I've also learned that again in comparison of Australia to the UK, where it's quite easy to charge excessively in the UK. I think the prices are just assumed that's what they are, but over here people are quite a bit more sensitive to those high prices, so there's a lot more pressure on especially that menu in brunches. Yeah.
So where do you start when you create a menu? given it's a pub, but it's obviously a fancy pub.
Thank you.
You've got a beautiful specials board, and you've got all your amazing suppliers and so on. How often are you changing your menu?
We change our menu 4 times a year to follow the seasons. We have a sector called the Feature Producer, where we focus on various producers around the country, more specifically Victoria, but we also branch out nationwide. And we focus on their product, be it Azuri from Dalesford are doing an amazing burrata, or a Barongaroo pork, or Chimichu Organics, and we create a special around that item. The special might change 3 or 4 times in the 2-3 week cycle that we're featuring them, and we write a little blurb about them and put them on the menu to try and create a bit more awareness. And also, I think the underlying message is that working directly with suppliers, or producers, sorry, should I say, is I think that a lot more chefs should really be doing as well.
Yes.
And then for the rest of the menu, it's always been an ambition to make it as balanced as possible. A lot of gluten-free options, a lot of vegan and vegetarian, because that's the way I love to eat. I was vegetarian for a few years in my life, and there's obviously a strong following for that sort of style of eating. So yeah, just focusing on keeping it pub friendly, not trying to recreate the wheel, just doing classic food, but just read as well as we can, and just keeping it sort of easy to understand, not too complicated, but still a pub friendly. Yes, it's quite a lot of aspects to it, but yeah.
And do you think about food all the time?
Yes, yes. This is actually one of the first things I ask chefs when they come to the kitchen on a trial basis, or I try and find out what they like to cook at home. If they like to cook at home, I cook at home all the time. It's actually where I enjoy my cooking the most. There's just no pressure. It's just fun, you know. And I've got my favorites. I love cooking spicy or Indian food. And my wife's a huge fan of it as well. And we've got a little 18-month-old now, and he spends a lot of time in the kitchen with us, and cooking for him is a pleasure as well. And yeah, it's difficult to switch off. I think that I don't dine out enough, because I think that's a great way for chefs to grow as well. And that's, I guess, one of my ambitions for the new year, is to try and see what other chefs are doing, because you can only get so much through Instagram and social. You know, you actually have to go into the restaurant and understand the whole environment and how they serving in the setting, etc. But yeah, it's difficult to switch off. But I think that's the beauty of being a chef, and I don't ever want to switch off. I don't think, you know. I think that's how people stop having the passion for it. Yeah, so always progressing.
And obviously, I mean, everything you've said just exudes passion and love for what you do and the product and so on. Does it get stressful in the kitchen? Do you feel stressed, or is it a nice buzz of productivity? It's a great buzz, and I've got a incredibly supportive team behind me, and we all absorb that pressure exceptionally well. We have made it something that we stand strongly about, a very strong work-life balance. Our chefs don't work more than 6 shifts a week, so they're only in the kitchen for half of the week, basically. And you can see it in their faces when they come in the mornings. You know, they're rested, they're relaxed, they want to be there, they want to cook the food that we're serving, and that's in itself gives me a lot of energy. I'm very energetic myself. I like to push myself to see how much I can do, and that is now a trait that they're picking up in themselves. My sous chef Rusty is the same, very energetic, and passing that energy from the top all the way to the bottom, it has a long-lasting effect throughout the day. And yes, there are times when I'm like, oh my God, have we taken on too much? Is this menu too involved? Is this project too big for us? But then you give it some more time, you put a bit more effort into it, and it finally, you know, the dust settles, and you find yourself making, for example, great sourdough that we're very proud of now. You know, it's not something a lot of pubs do, but we now hang our hats on a very good sourdough that we bake. So that's a project we undertook last year, and it's now fully embedded into all the chefs, and yeah, it's just another thing that I guess makes us a little bit better than where we were. So yeah, always progressing. Sounds wonderful. Thank you. I think that's wonderful. That's plenty. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't realise we started.
You've been listening to Conversation with a Chef. I'm Jo Ritty, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like to read the full transcript of the conversation, you can go to www.conversationwithachef.com or follow me on Instagram so you'll always be up to date with the latest conversation.